Welcome. I'm Peter Dunn, and my guest today is best-selling author Augustin Burroughs.
Yeah, hi Peter, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Good, thank you for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure. You've had a pretty exciting couple of years.
It has been pretty exciting. It's been very, very busy. Seems like I spend a lot of time in airports. But it's been terrific, I think it really started with the success of Running with Scissors, which, of course I never ever could have imagined. And it's just sort of been continuing since then, so...
Are you actually getting to enjoy some of the success? Or?
Oh, yeah, no, I do enjoy it. It's just a huge privilege. I think that when I started off, determined to become a writer or determined to be a published author, I fully expected to make, to dedicate my life to it and to have to make ends meet another way because, you can't ever expect to find, I think, commercial success, if you will, as an author. And you can't expect that your book will be read by a large number of people because that's just usually not the case. So I didn't expect that. And it's just really, really, it's exciting and it's just an honor to know that so many people read my work, and get so much out of it.
I'm glad. Well, and you were a huge success right out of the gate. Running with Scissors was a #1 bestseller.
Right. And it was just, it was definitely really, really exciting and thrilling. And like I said, it was, unexpected. You can't plan for something like that, but I think that because of sort of what I've gone through in my life I feel like I've had many, many different lives, actually. And as a result, I'm really very grounded. So that, success didn't change me or change, my values at all. And, I've always been prepared to deal with the worst in life because that's, pretty much what I've had to do. My life's been, to a large extent, a series of various triage, situations. And so I'm very grounded, and it's been nice to be able to have, such a, successful career, but to maintain my family life and my very quiet sort of, normal, boring, life, for lack of a better word.
Well, I'm curious, too, with Magical Thinking, which is, I think, just about to come out in paperback, isn't it?
Right, it's actually out now in paperback.
Oh, great. Well, one of your first stories, which was great fun, was about your Tang commercial as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
A, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about it, and B, I was kind of wondering, since you had such a sort of disappointing flop as a child actor, is some of the success you're enjoying now sort of karmic retribution and vindication for your failed career as a sort of young Haley Joel Osment meant to be?
Well, like you said, the Magical Thinking starts off with a story that actually took place when I was in elementary school. The book itself, Magical Thinking, starts from, sort of pre-Running with Scissors, if you will, and it sort of leads up to the current. So it covers a large portion of my life. It's sort of like a lot of miniature memoirs woven together. But I was an elementary school student, and one day in my penmanship class, a van pulled up, and it was a perfect little schoolhouse. It was, a little gray schoolhouse with a red door and a bell on top. When you think of like quintessential New England, that was really the location. So we were in penmanship class and we saw this van, and it turned out the van was filled with location scouts from New York City, and they wanted to film a commercial in a quaint New England schoolhouse. And so they held auditions for this Tang instant breakfast drink commercial, which was really popular in the 70s. It was the powdered orange drink that the astronauts took to the moon. Anyway, I was determined to get in that commercial no matter who had to fall down the steps and die. So I did get in. I auditioned and I got in. And my parents had a large library at home. Both of them were academic and very heavy readers. So we had a book by, I think it was Stanislavski. And I read about, how to act. So when it came time for me to be on the set, I actually only had one line, which was, "Hey Mark, where are you going?" And I couldn't say it like a little kid, and I kept wanting to know, well, am I walking to a class or from a class? And the director was like, "Kid, what does it matter? You're just a kid. Just be a kid." And I couldn't do it. So when the commercial finally aired, much to my horror, I had been cut out of the commercial because I was just one of those little awful fake actor kids, that just don't have a real bone in their body. So it was funny that, ironic that years later, starting when I was 19 years old. I ended up working in advertising and I actually ended up at that same agency that created that Tang commercial.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't even know if I've mentioned that before to anybody, but it was just, I wasn't, planned. It just happened that way. I looked through the files to see if I could find a copy of it, but I never did. That dream to be an actor, went away a long time ago. What I really love is creating the world, and that's writing. But I have to say that, yeah, it was thrilling to see. I was only, Running with Scissors, my memoir about my childhood, was recently filmed by Ryan Murphy, who's the creator of Nip Tuck, and he won a Golden Globe for his series last year. So he directed the picture and he wrote the script, and it was amazing to be on the set. I was only there for a couple days because I had to fly to Australia for a big tour. So I was there for about a day and a half, actually, and it was just amazing to see, my sort of childhood on the screen. Ryan had cut together probably 20 minutes of the first portion of the film. He was cutting the picture as he shot it. So there was about 20 minutes completed. And when I watched it, it was just absolutely surreal. It was a scene with Annette Bening and Alec Baldwin. They play my father and mother, respectively. And it was a fight that my parents had, And it's something that is in the book, but I'd forgotten was in the book, and I remember, though, like it was yesterday, and it's very accurate, So seeing it on the screen, it was like a home movie, except that the people are better looking, and it was just a very, very, sort of bizarre and strangely satisfying experience because, so many of the moments that we have as little kids, that are maybe upsetting moments, that end up shaping us. They pass. It's like water under a bridge. They pass and they go away, and they're just part of our history. But to see this moment captured on film, sort of for all of posterity, it was somehow touching, So it was a great experience. And of course, Annette Bening did an absolutely astonishing performance.
Now, did you get to spend any time with the cast?
I got to spend a little bit of time, not a whole lot, but definitely got to spend some time, and everyone, that I did get to spend time with was very, very excited to do the picture, and they were very, very passionate about it. Ryan made a huge effort to keep the spirit of the book intact.
I was also curious, back in Magical Thinking, as a young teenager, you kept a shrine to Christine Jorgensen, who was a famous transsexual.
I did, in elementary school. Again, I was obsessed with Christine Jorgensen. She was not the first transsexual in the world, but she was certainly the first to gain sort of that level of worldwide notoriety. And I think what interested me was not so much that I wanted to change my sex. I was perfectly happy being a guy, but I was just intoxicated with the idea that a person can make such a dramatic change. In essence, changing, something very just fundamental, to that person. You can change it if you don't feel that it's right, So Christine Jorgensen was a man, biologically born a man, and felt like that was incorrect and felt like a woman. So, had this really sort of radical surgery at the time in the 1950s and became a woman and, looked beautiful. So I was at that stage in my life, I was really, like I write, in the midst of an unhappy childhood, and I was ripe for change. So she became an icon, and I think I've always, to this day, I am drawn to transformation. I think a lot of people like transformation stories, but I'm especially drawn to people who will reinvent themselves in order to be true to themselves and to be happy. Even if what they have to do is drastic. In a lot of ways, I've had to do that myself, and that's probably why I relate to it. Given the facts of my life, I probably shouldn't be alive, let alone successful in any way, emotionally or professionally. And I think it's only because of my ability to sort of to sort of rise above my circumstances or to transform myself and let go of my obsessions, my negative behaviors, and to change the way I think that I am, as sort of happy and together as I am.
I think that is one of the things that has made your book so compelling, and I think the distinction of the reinvention with the emphasis on being true to yourself, and that reinvention seems to be a very American thing. I mean, we're able to do it, I think, more freely in this country.
I think it's something that this country was founded on. I mean, that's sort of one of the founding principles of this country, and every time you see it, it's exciting.